of the biggest issues plaguing modern men is that the vast majority of them lack a tribe of other virtuous, trustworthy, masculine men who gather for the sole purpose of improving themselves and their lives on a daily basis. Most men simply float through space, working a dead-end job, only to go home to a nagging wife or girlfriend that doesn't respect them. Their friend circles are nothing but fat, low testosterone losers who are more concerned with what sports teams are playing this weekend and what bar they're going to watch the game at. If these men are lucky enough to unplug from the comforting lies that modern society sells them and decide they want more out of life, they look around and realize they need to get into a better room. That's where a private community of men chasing excellence comes in. The men in our community have all committed to being the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be. They willingly run toward challenges, knowing that pushing themselves out of their comfort zones is the key to unlocking their true potential as men. If you're ready to take control of your life back and curate a network of successful and knowledgeable men, now is the time to seize the opportunity.
Yeah, baby. What a trip that was. We got another one coming up this spring.
Yep. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Let's kick it off. We got another Chopping It Up, 19th run. Got a bunch of stuff saved up from the past week. Great news out there and some not so great news. But, Moff, you got some stuff that you've queued up. Do you want to start off with your list?
Yeah, actually I do. So I want to put this up. I'm going to put it on, I think, 2x speed. You guys are just going to have to bear with me. There's not a, actually there's a 1.25x, so that's fine. Let me get this up and ready here. So there's a woman on TikTok. She's in the UK. She's complaining about her experience on dating apps and being over 35. So, you know, just sit back and enjoy this.
Dating gets significantly harder on apps if you're a woman over the age of 35. I have a theory that men are setting their age ranges to end at 35 or 34. So I went back on dating apps at 34, about 9 months after I separated from my husband. At 34, I had a lot of prospects. Like, I have pretty privilege. I will admit that. I admit that I am an attractive.
I don't know who she's talking to, by the way, that's giving her these illusions or these comments that she's pretty or has pretty privilege, but Jesus.
Stereotypically attractive woman in society. It was great when you were 34. My birthday was 4 months later when I turned 35. But there was a little bit of a change in the men I was being sort of exposed to, as it were, and shown on dating apps. But the massive change came when I turned 36 earlier this year. And I have noticed such an extreme drop-off of men. Not that I'm that bothered, because people are people. I fall in love with people. But I have noticed it, and it is really harmful, and it upsets me, because I am somebody who is childless, not by choice. I had 2 miscarriages. My husband left me after the second one. I am not somebody who kids is on the agenda for, because I don't know if I can carry them. But I have noticed that I am being filtered out. And I have a theory. Please comment if you agree with this. And this is because of the actual incorrect belief that all women over 35 are thinking biological clock, marriage, kids, babies, or we have babies, or they'd be right in thinking that I'm divorced and have a lot of trauma. Correct, which is why I'm off apps at the moment, to fix some of that. But it makes me really angry and really sad that our society is indoctrinating men and women and everybody to believe that biological clock is so terribly bad after 35, because that actually isn't true. Lots of data on the fact that, fertility declines at 35, but you've got to understand, you've got to have a PhD in research to understand data, to understand that we actually don't know that. The data shows that, but that's because everybody's been pressurized to get married and have kids before that. So the people who don't have fertility problems, and I would count myself as somebody who does have fertility problems, but the people who don't have fertility problems have rushed to have kids because of the 35. All of us are rushing. And then the people that are left after 35 in our data set, in our society, are more skewed, so more likely to have people in it who can't have kids anyway. And this could have been something that is present in them throughout, or just more likely to have problems in later age. The funny thing is, to do this experiment properly, you would have to stop everyone from having any children till 35 and then be like, go fuck. And then see how many people could have children. And that's the only way we can definitively say that your biological ability to have children decreases after 35. Some women, you hear these stories, there are so many women who successfully naturally have children up into their 40s. And the problem we have is we don't have the data, enough of the data, because everyone's rushing to do it before 35. And this manifests itself in men thinking you're over the hill at 35, because women feel under pressure at 35 to have children. So to anybody dating me or wants to date me, I am not wanting to get pregnant. I am in no rush. I don't even know if I want children, yet I'm still being filtered out. And I don't know if I look 35. I think I do look 35, 36. I definitely don't behave like a 35, 36-year-old, because I'm a massive child. And it makes me sad because I'm swiping on people, men, women, non-binary people, who don't care about that. I actually gain from a big section of people who are probably negative for me, swiping off me, fine. But what makes me sad is people who are straight women in particular, whose only option is cis straight men, but also who have internalized this, more importantly, who have internalized that they are in a rush and they might not have children. And it makes me really sad. So I wanted to come on here and talk about this a little bit, because you're not over the hill. You're not destined to be childless at 35, 36. Like you are okay. You can still have them. You might have difficulties, but you might not. And please take this pressure off yourself. If you're a straight dude who is doing this, who's stopping at 35, and you are older than 35 or in your early mid-30s yourself, please go to therapy, because I would question why you are wanting someone who's less mature than you. And anybody who talks to me about evolution and attractiveness and biology, I'll give you a lesson in sexual evolutionary anthropology, and will discredit anything that you say. So please don't comment that. I'll probably just delete it. Let me know what you think about this. Only kindly. Any misogynistic, trolly weirdos in the comments, I'll just delete you, so don't even bother. Let me know what you think. Do you suffer with this? Is it something you think about? And if it is, and if you suffer and you're struggling, massive hugs and massive cuddles, because it feels shit. It feels shit to have the only defining characteristic of our age, and we're being so ruthlessly pushed aside because of incorrect assumptions.
Wow.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Dude, where do you want to start with, man? What a complicate life, justify why word salad that was.
I mean, to me, it's like the perfect video. First of all,
Unreal.
The fact that I watched it before, and I don't even know where to start.
Let me jump in here, because
yeah, please.
I heard a lot of dating people, straight cis white men, like all this woke narrative. Like, you can tell she's liberal for sure.
100%.
Like, that's one of the first problems you're going to have as a woman, is if you want to date attractive masculine men, they're going to pass on you if you're older and you're liberal. They just are. You're insufferable. And I don't know, like, did she say pretty privilege at the beginning?
Yeah, she apparently is attractive or has privilege because she's good looking or something along those lines.
I mean, just because guys are messaging you, it doesn't mean that you're attractive. I mean, guys will message a 2. She doesn't have makeup on, so in fairness, I mean, she's not done up to go out, but she's not pretty.
She's camera ready, at least. I mean,
she's camera ready, sure. I mean,
so
I feel sorry for these women, man. Like, I really do. Like, they don't have a clue, and she's not even ready to listen to hear the truth.
That's why I don't feel sorry for her. That's why I don't feel sorry for her, because like all of the data and the research that we have about women's fertility past the age of 30, 35, we have all of that. So she's saying we don't have it. She's saying that the reason that women don't get pregnant 35 onward is only because these men are choosing not to date these women and not giving them a chance. Like, it's all a social construct. It's all something that we've all banded together as men and created to get these aging women out of the gene pool, essentially. You're talking about, and I feel for women that have miscarriages, don't get me wrong. A twice miscarriage, yeah, please. But go ahead and cut me off. Like, let's just talk about that real quick.
Yeah, sorry, man. I pulled it up. Let me just
please
deal with this.
Hilarious. We can find this in 10 seconds.
We don't have the data. We need to collect some data on this. Chances of getting pregnant early to mid 20s, 25 to 30% chance of getting pregnant each month. Age 30, 75% chance of conceiving within 1 year. Age 35, 66%. So it goes down precipitously. Like age 40, 44% chance of conceiving within 1 year, with only a 5% chance of getting pregnant in any monthly cycle. So even if you time it properly, you still only have a 5% chance at the age of 40. Live birth rates. The birth rates obviously change as you get older. Miscarriage rates go up as you get older. We have the data. The data is there. We've been collecting the data. It's not like there's an absence of data. you're not ideally suited to carry a child as you get older. That's just the reality of it. If you do,
it's laughable.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Yeah, great. Good for you. It's laughable though. I mean, and if you're a man who doesn't want to date older women or women that are past or drastically reduced chance of having a kid, you want to have kids, you need to go to therapy because you don't want to. I mean, it's it's almost parody at this point. It's like the perfect summation of everything that's wrong up here with a lot of women. You need to date me. You need to not date women that you want to date. You don't need to not date 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds or whatever, or young women.
You need
because
therapy,
you need to give me the chance.
35 and you
need
don't
to go to
date a
therapy.
35-year-old like her.
And there's just this significant drop off, and we need to preserve the data, or in the name of science, we need to make sure men are trying to get 35-year-old women pregnant. So, and the end is just the cherry on top. Like this idea of if anybody comes in my DMs or comes in my comments and starts talking to me about evolution or, human desire, I'm just going to block you. First, she says, I'll give you a lesson. And then she turns around and says, no, I'm just going to block you. Any misogyny. Let me know what you think. But if you disagree with my opinion or you disagree with anything that I said, you're getting blocked. You're a misogynist. And that's the most telling point. Like these women are going on social media, not because they're looking for answers, not because they want help. They just want to cry and whinge and look at me, give me attention. And it's those are the women I don't feel sorry for. Women that are open to it, that come on ladies' night, for example, saying, help me. I'm 40. I'm single. What do I do? And then you got this bitch saying, oh my God, like if you try to tell me anything about the way the world works, about how I need to get pregnant or the actual biological impulses that men have, you're going to be blocked. So there's no helping women like this.
You notice
Good luck.
that she said that if you don't want to date a woman your age, then you need therapy.
Yeah, because they're less mature than you, or something like
about
that.
Maturity too. Yeah, it's complicated life, just by why. And these women, they won't come to acknowledge or accept the reality of the world they live in until it slaps them hard in the face, and they're surrounded with cats or a dog or something like that, and they're a dog mom or a cat mom or something, and they got nothing going on. I mean, I do truly feel sorry for these women because it's like nobody's telling them the truth, and anybody that tells them the truth is probably in their little TikTok comments. They don't want to hear it, so they just delete it anyway. But her dad never told her the truth. Her brothers never told her the truth. Why have no men in her immediate circle in her life ever told it? But I mean, women don't listen half the time too. That's the other problem too. They don't want to fucking hear, they don't want to be mansplained to. There's that new word about mansplaining. It's like they don't want to listen to a man because it's beneath them, right? They don't want to hear the truth. So instead, it's go on a TikTok rant about having pretty privilege and you're immature or you need therapy if you don't want to date her, but whatever.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Enjoy your cats and your dogs or whatever bullshit you're going to go with.
Yeah, indeed.
What else we got?
The next one I had.
That was insane.
I wanted to kick off with that. I wanted to make sure we started off on a high note. The next one I had is Travis Hunter. So a lot of people may be familiar with him. I know you won't be, but Travis Hunter is this guy, and there's not much I have as far as like supporting materials. I'll kind of play this video in the background, but I'm not going to turn any sound on, just so you guys kind of see an idea and maybe get a quick glimpse. So Travis Hunter is essentially, he just won the Heisman Trophy, which I'm going to turn the volume off so you guys can just watch this. He won the Heisman Trophy. He's widely regarded as one of the best athletes to come through college football in the last generation. For you non-sports fans out there, he plays both sides of the ball, which means he plays offense and defense, which is incredibly, incredibly rare. He just won the Heisman, which again is the most prestigious award in college football. And there's been a lot coming out now about his girlfriend. So this headline, Run Travis Run, Travis Hunter's fiance says she didn't respond to him at first because he wasn't her type. So she made this guy chase her. And this dude they've been together for a couple years now, apparently. But, he's 21, she's 23. And he is now projected to be a first overall pick in the NFL. With that comes millions and millions of guaranteed dollars as a rookie and potentially a very long career. And all of these red flags and this history is starting to pop up where we're potentially seeing another star athlete in another extremely high level, high value man, if you want to call him that, be completely duped by a woman. And there's all these red flags that are starting to come up with her. There's rumors that she was a former stripper in Atlanta and had an OnlyFans. She's got a long sleeve tattoo on one of her arms. She has a tattoo of a dollar symbol on her ring finger where your engagement ring would go. It's the dollar sign. And people are coming out of the woodwork, and she's on camera disrespecting this man. She's saying he wasn't my type. And, you know, I started doing a little more research on this guy, and, you know, like I potentially suspected, father wasn't really around that much. And this guy was a stud, like stud throughout high school. He was the first ranked recruit. Everybody knew he was going to be the guy one day. And this is a perfect example of a woman hanging around, and trying to cash her chips in. He won the Heisman Trophy in New York City. His dad didn't attend. He chose not to. His dad apparently had some in and out of jail stints growing up. There's not a lot on him that I could find. I know the reason that he missed some of his games this year because he was serving a 90-day prison sentence for some undisclosed felonies. And so you have another example and he's defending his girl. He's saying, you guys need to stop coming after her. You know, she gets upset, so that makes me upset. And he just can't see what's right in front of his face. And it's potentially going to lead to a very, very bad deal for him. I mean, he buys her he's buying her gifts. It's really, really a tough thing to watch when the entire internet is telling this guy to run away. And, you know, just red flags through the roof. And even they do streaming together and they do YouTube, and she is disrespecting him on camera. People are saying, you know, this girl doesn't care about you. And they're saying like she's you know, in it for the money, and she's very quiet. She doesn't respond to that. He has to respond like, oh no, she's been with me for a long time, like 4 years. But as we know, women will wait around. If you've got high potential.
So she has a dollar sign tattooed on her wedding finger.
On her
like
wedding ring finger. Indeed. So yeah, there's a video. Actually, I will bring up that audio because it's very telling.
She's honest about it. She puts the tattoo on her fucking finger.
I want to actually play this audio because the reason I saved this, it is very telling. So let me share this and play this one more time for you guys, because this is the kind of attitude in the woman that he's dealing with. So let me just restart it. Hold on. This is just them going back and forth.
I just didn't respond to him. He wasn't my type. We be fighting.
I don't be fighting. She be fighting. She be fighting.
Like I said, I like things my way, and if it doesn't go my way, then
Look at her body language. She's pulling away from him.
I don't even sound like that. That's the funny thing.
That's all I be hearing when she be crying and talking.
I don't even cry for real.
Even though she get mad at me a lot.
I have to bring that up.
Nah, she get mad at me every day, y'all.
The reason why is because I'm a very particular person. Like, organized is like not even the word. Like, I like everything in order in my way, and if it's not my way, then
she wanna blame it all on me. Somebody just said, "Don't marry her. She got an attitude and she mad all the time." Bro, when I seen she say she was mad all the time,
is that her on the right?
She mad.
I'm not gonna lie, I do have an attitude problem. I really do, but I have to grow as an individual. You know, I'm a girl.
The crazy thing is that
Yeah, so she wants exactly what she wants all the time. And you can see in the body language. I mean, and there's other instances, like when he won his award, she didn't stand up to, you know, you could see the way she's saying, get off me, basically. You see how happy and cheesy he is, and she's just kind of doing this half-ass smile, like, oh, yeah. Like, man, like this guy it's going to end really, really badly for this guy. And,
guys, I'll say it again. You don't want to deal with a woman that hasn't chosen you. I mean, she either chooses you or she doesn't. You know, if she doesn't choose you and she's not all in, fuck it. Let her go.
Yeah,
you know,
it's tough. And it's like, there you go. No strong father in the guy's life. Former football player, in and out of jail is my guess. I mean, he was doing a jail stint. Why couldn't nobody attend some of his games? He's got nobody telling what's up. I mean, it's like another dude raised by a single mom that wants to play Captain Save-A-Ho or whatever to a woman that's got a checkered past. And I mean, and this guy is, you know, like he's currently one of the most popular athletes in the world. I mean, if you know, US or whatever, but we're talking first overall pick in the draft, guaranteed millions and millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, it's a sad thing to see, and he defends her, and he just, well, he's going to go down with that ship. So
It's on the cup, man. She picked the winner at the finish line. He wasn't a winner at the beginning, but now the dude's winning, so she wants a piece of the action. Anyway,
so on a more serious note, on a more serious note, this is something we wanted to talk about. There's been another school shooting today in
Wisconsin school shooting. 17-year-old girl did it,
shooting. Now, all of this is alleged, but in X's, people murders have been solved by internet sleuths. So obviously the people that are the officials, cops, and things like that are very limited on
Netflix series. Don't fuck with the cats.
Yeah, that guy was caught because of the internet. So people started doing some deep dives, and there's rumors that she was trans or something like that. MDFMK, or I don't know the actual words, but apparently this was a band that was referenced by one of the. No, I think it was a band. It's a song by a band. It was apparently referenced by one of the Columbine shooters, and so they have what they think might be part of the manifesto. I'll read some of this for you guys, and I've got to clean it up for the channel a little bit, but we talk about toxic feminism and how it's a real thing, and people like to joke around and say it's BS, but then you have this: women are the only hope for this wretched world, but even women have been brainwashed by moids. It's Gen Z slang for men. For too long. They've internalized the patriarchy and turned on each other, always begging for male approval and validation. It's disgusting. I realize the truth. Men are irredeemable. Rad Femme Hitler is a popular, and I think she got kicked off of Twitter, but a popular ex-user, proud misandrist, very going back and forth with a lot of guys that we know in the space. Rad Femme Hitler is so vindicated now. Men cannot be reformed or redeemed. They are a scourge upon the earth. The only solution is to totally exterminate them and every woman who worships these parasites. Every single male must be wiped out, from babies to the elderly. I don't mean to laugh, but my God, only then can women be free to create a new world. I'll be a pioneer. I'll be the first to take the first step. I don't care if they're fathers, brothers, husbands, sons, teachers, police, and especially blacks or politicians. I've been craving to kill them all. This is my mission. Only when their parasitic sludge has been expunged from this earth then will the world be clean and women can start over. It's the only way. In approximately 10 minutes, I should be dead. It's strange, but it feels good. 2 dead.
Right there.
I believe the 2 dead have been confirmed, a teacher and the actual shooter itself. But it's unconfirmed at this point, and nothing's come out officially. But yeah, I mean,
do you have a name?
It's
the question I have is, where's the father?
Well, apparently the father was found on Facebook. So I don't know exactly if nothing's been confirmed. That's the hard part. Like, nothing's been confirmed, but they're saying this kind of ideology, the trans stuff, like everything we talked about tomorrow, probably. I'm sure we will. Yeah, but it's just another example.
Sad, man. Like that.
It's terribly sad.
Doesn't need to happen. And he, she, or whatever the hell that situation was, but that was clearly a loud, strong cry for help, and they should have done something. Like, as soon as somebody read that, they should have been like, yo, we need to deal with this chick. Like, let's get her some fucking help. Like, she can't be roaming around. She have firearms. Like, why does she have firearms? Like, we need to take those away from her.
It was a handgun, not an AR style assault rifle, but it was a handgun was recovered. They're not releasing a lot of the information. They haven't confirmed anything, but essentially my guess is it was a murder-suicide, or she killed herself, because the cops didn't fire any shots when they arrived upon the scenes. Like, no officers discharged their weapons. But again, like, you see how these people on the left and their insane rhetoric gets into the minds of young, impressionable people that think this is the way. I mean, you saw it with the guy that tried to shoot Trump, and you saw it you see it with this now, like, where men need to DIE and kill all men. And it's just, everybody laughs it off and shrugs it off until you've got, dead kids. Because, I mean, she's literally naming a Twitter ex-user who has been notorious for anti-male misandrist rhetoric, and people just shrug it off, and there's people like to say that, the feminism and the unplugged / red pill are two sides of the same coin, but I don't see anything out there where guys are saying like all men should or all women should DIE and we need to exterminate them from the planet or hunt them for sport. It's just disgusting. And the worst part is, again, it's kids. And I go back to what I talked about, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, where guys like you and I, we've never lived in that world. Like, we don't know what it's like to grow up with social media. I mean, I had Facebook as like a teenager when I was in middle school and high school, but never to this level where kids are chronically online. I mean, they're getting to a point in Florida where they're banning anybody under 14 years old to have social media. Like, you're going to have to verify your identity. People will get around it, I'm sure, but kids today, man, it's hard. They don't stand a chance, and especially when parents are absent.
Generation of children that have screens like
before they can talk
constantly.
Before they can talk, like, I mean, I'm not going to say anything personal, but I've seen kids out there that know how to work an iPad before they know how to form sentences. I mean, so. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I think social media and the way it's poisoned kids' minds and the way that everything is, they can be so radicalized. Like, it's not books and it's not speeches anymore. It's Twitter. And I'm all for free speech, but, I don't know what the answer is, man. Like, it sucks and it hurts to even have to talk about it. But
it boils down to the parenting in the household. And we've removed fathers from a good chunk of households, either because women choose to be single mothers or because they choose to divorce the father because they're not happy in the marriage or they want to go and find something new or some happiness, whatever that's supposed to mean. But when you remove fathers from a child's life, their life, like I wrote about it in my book, I think it was like 27 of the last 28 school shooters came from a fatherless home. I would not be surprised if there is no father in the picture or limited access or they're divorced or something. Like it's very common for children to misbehave and lash, like teenage pregnancies, teenage gang activity, the vast majority of the incarcerated, shitty grades, suicide attempts, successful suicides. You go right down the list. Every degenerate activity is not because of toxic masculinity. It's because of an absence of masculinity in the household. And that's how you end up in situations like this where kids just throw a hissy fit and have a spaz and they melt down on social media and go and shoot up a school, man. It's like guns aren't the problem. That's what Trudeau thinks. He's got this brand new gun ban where he's stealing half of my fucking private property. He wants to send it over to Ukraine. We'll get to that in a bit because apparently he wants to fight wars with 22s. But like guns are not the problem. It's parenting. It's a lack of parenting and government outreach, government overreach, the lack of any kind of encouragement of two-parent households is to blame. Policymakers played a role in the environment that we're in today, where women don't respect men, women hate men, they don't see a need for men, and they end up just having kids by themselves. Or if they're married, they just get fed up in the marriage and they untie the knot and they move on. And it's like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? Did you think good was going to come out of that? You think women have the capacity to discipline and set boundaries for children? That's what the fathers do. That's what fathers have always done. Women are soft and nurturing. Fathers set boundaries. That's the way it is. And this big experiment of removing dads from households, look what's happening. It's not religion. Horrible. It's not guns. It's not anything else. It's shitty parenting. It's taking fathers out of households.
Yeah. And it's like people want to dog on you and dog on the podcast for saying don't get married. And because it's like, look, there are very logical reasons why, and if you're not going to take seriously the woman that you have kids with, it's the most important decision you could ever make, not only for yourself, but for your kids and potentially others' kids, because this could happen. I mean, it's happening so often that it's not just like that's happening somewhere far away. I mean, we're talking about these things every couple of months. There's something else. And there's more innocent people that are dead because of it. I gotta call this out because comments like this really piss me off. Mental health is not a thing. Okay. Like there's not a certain level or standard of what you would consider good mental health or bad mental health. That doesn't exist. This is all nonsense bullshit therapy speak that people have just had infecting in their brains. Jordan Neely should have been in prison. He should have been locked up and kept away from the general population and the general public. This has nothing to do with care, mental health care, and requiring that they seek some sort of inpatient facility. They need to be locked up and removed from the general public. And guess what? All it really takes, here's what it's really going to take. If you want to fix 80%, like 80 to 90% of all the crime here in the West, you basically find a politician with some balls and somebody that says, like, the vast majority of the crime is committed by repeat offenders.
You know
you
what?
don't have people that are just like first-time offenders. This right here.
Great Britain had the fucking solution years ago.
Firing
criminals,
squad.
they threw them on a boat and they shipped them over to Australia.
Yeah.
Take all your degenerate pieces of shit that keep, committing crimes over and over again, like the Jordan Neelys of the world. Put them on a boat, ship them down to Antarctica, let them figure it out. They make it. They don't, fuck them. Very, very simple. I don't know why society needs to tolerate the nonsense of having like these people in the general population harassing, intimidating, attacking, stealing, defecating in public places. Like,
lock them up.
I get why people go to Dubai and they're like, it's beautiful here. There's no homeless people. There's nobody defecating on the street. People are polite. You can leave your gold watch on the table and walk away and go to the bathroom and it's still there. But, try that stuff in, like North America or the States or the Jordan Neelys of the world. They're animals. And if you've proven to be an animal, you will be treated as such.
Put down. Put down. Yeah. Like you don't need to institutionalize people and give them 3 squares and their medication.
Lock them up if you want, but
lock them up in prison.
But just get them out of the way. It's very simple. If you can't operate and function like a normal human being in society, then too bad. And, you guys might get mad and be like, oh, that's wrong. That's the wrong way to handle it. They need mental health care and all that bullshit. That's the way it's always been throughout history. If you were a fucking piece of shit, you got locked up or you were killed. I'm not saying, the latter is the better option, but they didn't tolerate it. It's only today that we tolerate the insanity that you see where you end up with situations like, a stand-up Marine like Penny, who did the right thing at the time. And, as a consequence of that, Neely lost his life. I don't think he tried to off him or delete him. That's just a consequence of him being degenerate, being sickly, being drugged up, or whatever it happened to be. Either way, who cares? Move on from it, right? I don't know why we have to pedestalize these losers.
Yeah. I mean, and you're hearing people, look, I lived in New York City for 7 years. I've seen my fair share of these guys on the subway. But there's footage. I even brought this up. I wasn't even going to bring this up tonight, but now that we're even talking about it, I'll share one more thing where, let me put this up and I'll restart the video. I don't know if there's going to be sound behind it or not, but this guy with some very intelligent commentary, obviously. You guys are so evil. 99% of the time, if you mind your business, don't make eye contact, they'll leave you alone. You want to fantasize about murdering people. And this is a guy on the subway who's going up to people and getting in their face.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, he's clearly mentally ill or he's drugged up. Or both. And these people are on the subway sitting there putting up with this shit.
I mean, he's going up and down the train, getting in people's faces, and everybody's just sitting there taking it. I mean, my God, and people just say it's everyday life. Yeah, man, just don't make eye contact. But if he hauls off and hits you in the face, then and only then are you allowed to potentially protect yourself. You might be knocked out, you have a broken nose, or be disoriented. But you have to let him do it. You got to let him do it. You got to let him be a crazy and be a psycho on the subway. Because
we've just become way too tolerant. Jasmine, I've heard so much about is that supposed to be reiterating?
Reiterating, I guess.
After why smart men don't get married in my friend's family. Is that much of society plugged in?
Basically saying he's why are you talking to your friends and family about the unplugged alpha? First of all, like, you're not going to ever convince anybody. You're not going to tell it. Like, keep this stuff to yourself, man. They don't care. But yes, to answer your question, they are like extremely plugged in. I mean, people are getting married by the thousands every single day. So yes,
85 to 90% of the population out there is plugged in. So if you sit down during Christmas dinner and you say, hey, you know, smart men really don't marry anymore, the vast majority of people at the table are going to look at you like you've got 3 heads, right?
don't bother.
You bring it up when it's like you're dealing with a guy that has a chaotic, psychotic fiance and he's talking to you about it. Then maybe you say, hey, have you heard about this book, The Unplugged Alpha? There's this notion that smart men don't marry anymore. You know, you might want to look into it. Here's a copy of the book. That's when it's appropriate. But generally speaking, most people aren't ready to hear that. Just like, you know, the woman earlier that's 35 that's talking about, you know, kids and all that sort of stuff and her husband leaving her. It's like she's not ready to hear the reality of why she's in that position. They're just not ready for it. The vast majority of people are still plugged in. They don't want to wake up. They want to sleepwalk through life. And that's fine. Let them. You got any more?
I did have one more. I wanted to bring this up. I'm going to play this at 1.25, and then let's do mine, and then we'll do let's roll the ads, eh?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let me start this over. But this woman is a clear gay woman. I guess they're called. I don't know what they're called anymore. I don't think you're allowed to. I don't think butch is the right terminology anymore. I think they're called studs. There you go, studs. They're called studs, which is a weird thing to call a woman. But let's just play this.
What's up? I'm a stud. I like girls, but I think I'm finna start dating men. And let me tell you why. So I've been out here dating, and I just find that I date a lot of these femmes, and it seems like they looking for a parent instead of a partner, bro. Like, and I love spoiling my women. I love paying for stuff. I love taking them on dates and getting flowers and make sure they're good in every way, make sure they're safe, opening the door for them, all that. I love that stuff. But it seems like I can't get any spoiling in return. Nobody wants to play their role. I'm getting girls flowers, taking crazy dates, and, you know, them real good, you know, at the end of the night, make sure they get home, you know, all of this, and getting nothing in return. Like, I don't know if girls are fake gay, but they don't even want to F back. Like, they don't even want to back. Like, am like, what? I be trying to ask girls, like, are you gay for real? Like, are you gay? Because you act like, you know what I'm saying? It even comes down to the conversation. I be carrying the conversation, asking them questions, figuring out what they like and what they don't like. And they don't ask nothing back. Like, and I asked this one girl, like, why don't you ask nothing about me? And she said, I'm just trying to see for myself. What? Like, if I'm paying for everything, I'm doing all the transportation, I'm initiating everything, the least you could do is a little or something, or bring me some flowers, walk to the gas station, give me a bag of chips. I'm not asking for a lot, but it seems like I am, because I can't get anything out of these girls, you know. And not everything is about this, but if you're not gonna do this and make sure that I'm satisfied, then you have to pay for something. You're gonna have to pull up, you're gonna have to give me something, some blunts, some alcohol or something. And honestly, I ain't gonna lie, you rolling up every once in a while ain't even enough no more. It's not enough. Like, I need the full experience the same way that I'm giving you. And I just feel like with a man, like, he's automatically expected to do things, put stuff in motion, pay for stuff, all of that stuff. And I know if I had a boyfriend, I would reciprocate his energy and treat him really well, because I already have that in me as a masculine presented person. And honestly, I'm not even masculine. Like, I'm kind of STEM. Like, I like to switch it up. Like, I like to be masc most of the time, but I will put on some lashes and a cute outfit and everything like that. So that part of me ain't feeling the not getting nothing in return. It just got me, like, overwhelmed. And as a giver, I need me a giver, and maybe I just haven't found her yet, but it's making me think like maybe I'm on the wrong side, because at least I know with a man I'm supposed to get some type of spoiling, because right now I'm not getting nothing, and it's making me want to switch. So anybody that's out there, let me know if I'm tripping. Studs, am I out there? Y'all feeling like let me know if I'm tripping, bro.
Usually with lesbians, there's a feminine one and there's a masculine one, and she's clearly a masculine one, and she just learned what the experience is like for most men. Women don't do fucking shit for us. You know, we bend over backwards. We stick around forever out of duty, and we barely get anything or much back in return. Not of the same value. I mean, that's basically what she's saying. She's like, I bend over backwards, and I'm not getting anything close to the same value.
Nothing.
Back is what I and welcome to being a guy. That's the way it fucking always has been, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish, like, I'm mad that I didn't think of that rant first, because if you want to go viral as a guy, talk about if I'm taking you out on dates and I'm opening the door for you, then I better get some head in the car. I mean, like if a man made that video, they would hang him the next day. They would like try to burn his house down and dox him and, you know, get him fired, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that was my first thought. I was like, welcome to the average dating experience of the average man. That's going on dates. Cause a lot of people are like, oh, well, the average man's not dating. But if you're a guy that's going out there and you're trying to date girls, like this is your average experience. Like you do all of these things and you don't get that stuff in return. And that's just the way that it is. I mean, and again, if you don't think the juice is worth the squeeze or you're MGTOW, this, that, and the other, whatever, but it's very interesting to see a woman have that realization. I mean, somebody told me one time, it's like all women are potentially gay because they want somebody to provide and protect, take care of them, give them things. And whether that's a guy or a girl, it doesn't really matter to them. So, I mean, yeah, I thought that was really interesting. It's like, welcome to our world, even for a split second. So, and yeah, there you go.
Have you heard that joke about all women being bi? You just have to figure out if they're bisexual or bipolar.
Exactly.
I mean,
indeed.
The vast majority of women are bi. So I mean, like these chicks that are doing like, you know, I'm a stud, but then I want to put on lashes and be feminine sort of thing. It's like where's the father in the picture? Like, why is she pulling this crap? Right? Basically, like the dad
comes back to the father.
You know, come on.
Yeah, this is a good point. Like this is Nora Vincent kind of 2.0, but I mean, yeah, it's a hell of a book. But yeah, it almost always comes down to no father in the picture. You know, it's like the single we talked about this with ladies, and I think it's the single most telling thing that will determine a woman's. It's not always a guarantee, but you know, usually if they're messed up or they're making bad decisions, it's almost. I mean, I'm thinking about maybe we institute that. This is kind of a joke, but you know, at the beginning, name, age, where you're from, what you do, relationship status, and current relationship with your father. Like maybe we start there. Maybe it's like, how's your father-daughter relationship, and then we'll know who to start with.
I try to ease into that question on ladies' night. You know, usually the question that I ask is like, so what does your father think about all this, right? And then it's either, well, he's not around, or
I don't talk to him. Yeah. I don't listen to him anyway.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Anyway. All right. Let's do this before we hop into the bookmarks that I got saved over here. We'll run the ad reel, take a quick break, and we'll be back in like a minute and change. This episode is sponsored by richcooper.ca. Brothers, if you're like me and take what you put in your body seriously, you're going to want to use the Unplugged Alpha supplement line. An obsession with absorption is what sets this line apart from the others. You want to make sure that you absorb as much of the supplements as possible so you don't end up peeing out expensive urine. My supplement line is made in the United States from the highest quality domestic ingredients, and unlike cheap supplements from China in plastic bottles, mine ship in dark glass bottles to keep your supplements fresher, longer, and won't seep endocrine disrupting plastics into your supplements. Nothing is a hard tablet. Everything is in an easily digested, bioavailable capsule. You can filter all products by their various categories, including testosterone support, estrogen metabolism, fat burning, immune health, sleep support, and performance. Visit theunpluggedalpha.com/shop and use the subscribe and save option over here to get 10% off your supplement order, or use coupon code ALPHA10 for 10% off a one-time order to try it out. Men, if you want to know everything that I know today that I wish my dad taught me in my 20s, join the School of Unplugging. There are over 30 hours of lessons currently, a well-organized discussion board, and weekly Zoom calls held by experts with backgrounds in strength, nutrition, finance, investing, and entrepreneurship, all for one low monthly membership. Visit richcooper.ca and on the courses tab, hit the School of Unplugging and get started here. Guys, make sure you visit my website for my communities, requesting a private one-on-one consultation, or learning about my future events. And don't forget to opt into my email list over here to get my newsletter. Let's get on with the show. All right. Before we move on to the clips, I want to talk about the School of Unplugging briefly before we move on, because we do have some new content being added this month. We're adding the divorce course, the Unplugged Alpha's Guide to Divorce, to Untying the Knot so you do it properly without getting completely destroyed, and some new modules as well. We've got close to 50 hours of content. So that ad reel's a little bit old. I got to re-record it. It's a monthly membership. It helps support Moff and I doing what we do. Price goes up over time as we add much more content, and December 31st will be the next price increase. So if you guys are interested, sitting on the fence, just go to school.com/the-school-of-unplugging. I'll put it pinned in the top comment. You guys can get into that. Or Moff, can you drop it in live chat if you don't mind?
Yep.
Just grab the link and put it in there. You guys want to get in. It's the best place to be. There's weekly Zoom calls. There's tons and tons of classroom material. There's a discussion board. It's where to grow. You know, if you're serious about leveling up, if you want to make 2025 your year and lean into a much better version of your life, that's the place to do it. Plus, you also get the opportunity to attend the in real life events. We don't offer those to the public. That's only to our membership base. So check it out. I've got, do you remember Lily Phillips?
How can I forget, Rich?
Well, Lily Phillips, she published a video. If you guys are unfamiliar, she was the OnlyFans gal that slept with 100 guys in 24 hours, which I don't know how hard that could be, because I don't know what the metric is to actually define having slept with. Like, is it one pump and you sort of move on and the next?
I think
guy
she
comes
gave
in?
each guy 5 minutes and it was full penetration. You had a 5-minute timer every
5
guy.
minutes. I
Yeah.
mean, probably the vast majority of them are going to finish in that time.
I think it was 14. I
any
don't even think she
control.
went to full 24. I think she was over in like 14 hours, but yeah,
14
you're
hours,
probably
okay.
right.
So she breaks down into tears. I'm going to tell you something, guys. These are what we call crocodile tears, because she just announced after this she wants to do 1,000. So check this out.
I think sometimes like feeling so like robotic, like by the, I think like the 30th, you know, like when we're getting on a bit, I've got like a routine of like,
Somebody with a pen and a piece of paper, count how many times she says like. Just do like a cross, 4 and then 5. Here we go.
how we're going to do this. And like, it just, sometimes you'd like disassociate and be like, you know, like it's not like normal things at all. In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys that I remember. And that's it. But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, isn't it? Like, if I didn't have the videos, I wouldn't have known I've done 100, you know? But yeah. I think that was kind of the hard part, is like conversing with them, and like when they'd kind of be like, oh, like we've only had 2 minutes or 3 minutes and you said 5 on the message.
Did someone say that to you?
Yeah. And obviously it just makes me feel so bad.
Do you think you should feel bad about that?
I guess when you've promised something to people who support you, it's kind of hard to let them down.
But it's up to you, right? Like when you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you even processed, do you think, what's happened?
Not yet. God, I won't forget this day, Jesus.
When I decided to start making this documentary, I wasn't too sure of what to expect. I certainly didn't expect to see Lily so upset at the end of it all.
I mean, you just shared your body with 100 guys. Women can't do that. It's not normal. It's not something to be proud of. Apparently her mother is her financial manager. I don't know if you heard that, but her mom manages her finances. I tried to find some information on dad and I couldn't find anything. So I'm not really sure what his status is in the picture.
Who would have thought?
No surprising. But she's, after this, dog and pony show and the crocodile tears about getting run through by 100 guys, she's made an announcement within the week that she's going to do 1,000, believe it or not, to beat a Guinness World Book of Records or whatever. So, I don't know what to say about stuff like this.
Apparently the cameraman, when he went into the room after it was done, was gagging because of the smell. Audibly was gagging, like he was going to throw up.
The comment that I wrote here, Moff, is these women can try to ignore reality, but they can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. I think that's Anne Ryan or whatever. These choices that women should really, because their fathers are not around or they're useless, women should instill the value of asking themselves the question when they make decisions. And I know they're not going to do this, but I'm going to say it anyway. How would my future husband feel about this decision? And would my father be proud of me? Before you do anything, ask yourself the question, how would my future husband feel about this decision? And would my father be proud? And then
I can tell you,
decision after that.
Should still say, well, a man who's going to judge me for my past, I don't want that man anyway, because my past doesn't matter.
They're all going to judge you, sweetheart. They're all going to judge you.
Here's the dumb comment of the week award. So we're not promoting this. We're not advertising it. We're not telling you dum-dums to go click on our OnlyFans and buy it. If you don't have, so if you're watching this, if you're watching this video and because we put that up to critique and put commentary, and this is compelling you to go subscribe to her OnlyFans, you got bigger problems, dude.
We have a hero story.
Figure it out.
Share. We have a hero story. This guy, Yash Deep, is a hero. He says here, I fired an employee going through a tough divorce. One of my employees was stuck in a messy divorce. His wife demanded half his income. As a good boss, I couldn't stand by, so I did the most compassionate thing possible. I fired him. Why? No income, no alimony. The divorce was finalized with negligible alimony, and financial ruin was averted. The dust settled. I rehired him. Now he's back, better than ever, with a clean slate and no ex-spouse draining his paychecks monthly. Being a leader isn't about making easy decisions, it's about making smart ones. Like I said, but not all heroes will wear capes.
Aren't there ways that, I mean, is this reality? Because I mean, everything that I know about alimony is like if you start coming into some more money, or you start coming in, you do better at work, or you get another source of income, they can go come after you.
Yeah, there's places where it depends where you live. Like there was a famous Joe Rogan interview with this Canadian guy way back in the day when he first started his podcast. I can't remember the guy's name for the life of me right now, but the judge awarded alimony based on his prior 3-year tax returns. So even if he quit his job for 6 months, the judge still said, even though you're not working, we've got to enforce alimony payments based on what you made the last 3 years that you filed your taxes. Which, I mean, the argument that they had back and forth is how the hell do you pay something based on prior income when you don't have an income right now? Because I think he was an actor or a stand-up comic or something.
That's what it was. He was a comic. He's like, I'm not getting this kind of work anymore. Yeah. He's like, I was going on a huge run before. I had like a special, or I was just working crazy at the Cellar or wherever he was doing comedy. He's like, I'm not working regularly anymore. Like I haven't touched that level of income, and but they're just like, doesn't matter. Like the quote, it's like, it was something crazy, and I'm going to probably butcher it. We'll have to maybe pull it up. Jamie, pull that up. No, it's like something along the lines of like your inability to pay does not relieve you of your obligation to pay. Yeah. Something like that. It's like the fact that you can't pay this doesn't relieve you of your obligation. Like the most crazy ass backwards. Imagine somebody saying that to you.
Blood from a stone thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
But
and people wonder why you should avoid family law.
Depending on the jurisdiction that you're in. There's places in the world where it's based on your current paycheck. There's places where they base it on your prior tax filings. That's why when I tell you guys, because I mean, I get the question often is, how do you get married and minimize the risk? And there's like a 3.5-hour module in the School of Unplugging where I break down step by step in a very precise way. Every other week, I get a guy that calls in. He's like, Rich, how do I minimize the risk? It's like, all right, I got 10 minutes. Let's deal with this quickly. Yeah. But if you want to know the step by step, it's all in the School of Unplugging. And there's a lot of steps you have to take to minimize it. So if you're not prepared to make or take those steps and you don't want the risks, don't get married. That's why smart men don't fucking marry. Don't live in a way that looks like marriage, or move somewhere where it's not hostile.
Yeah, I mean, you're like,
and if she doesn't knowing, fuck her. Who cares?
Right. By not knowing this information and not being brushed up, you are taking the biggest gamble of your entire life. I mean, guys will put more stake into the car they're going to buy, making sure it has the right horsepower or the right tuning, or it has enough seats, or it has the interior, or the color that they want, or the mileage, or or the house they're going to buy. But they won't do the same about a woman, and they're not going to set themselves up to be as protected as humanly possible. And all of that, I think, boils down to the gynocentric society that if you trust her, there's a lot of discourse now going, I hate the word discourse, but there's a lot of chatter going on X right now about talking about government mandated paternity tests, and these guys that are coming out of the woodwork. Oh my God, I would never ask my wife to do that. Oh my God. Like, if you don't believe her 100%, then you shouldn't be with her or marry her. It's like, yeah, let's just disregard the fact that anywhere from 10 to 33% of all men are raising children that aren't theirs. But
did you ever get around to that?
Be honorable. No, I haven't read it, but it's on my list.
Yeah, you got to go.
I'm almost like, how much black pill can I take, man? Like, how much doom and gloom do I
well,
really
if you can't take it, then I would say wait for it. But if you guys want to go down a rabbit hole of the black pill, read Sperm Wars. and you'll realize how disgusting women can potentially be, and how they can be so mischievous and deceive guys. Like, that book has been condemned, right? Like, I was doing some reading up on some of the reviews, and there's been a lot of institutions that have tried to get that book removed. They've tried to discredit it, but the authors are like accredited researchers that put the information together. And it's like, you know, you mentioned it earlier, but it's about 10 to 30%. Like, we don't have accurate information on how many women step out or deceive men in a marriage with paternity fraud. But the best source of information that I could find, and I was looking for comprehensive data when I was writing my book, and it's very, very difficult to find. The best information that I found was from the Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, because when you go in there with a sick child, they have to blood test the child, and they have to blood test the parents for genetic information to try to get to the bottom of whatever disease they have and how they can cure it. And one of the problems that they've run across is when they're blood testing the father, there's been instances somewhere between 10 and 30% of the time where the guy that thinks he's the father of the child turns out not to be the father of the child. And they don't tell the fucking guy. The hospital won't tell him. What they do is they take the mom aside and they're like, hey, we got to tell you this because we can't tell the father or the guy that thinks he's the father because he's not the dad. And she's probably sitting there going, oh, I guess it might have been Tom or Chad or Tyrone or Leroy or some shit like that. And it's like, paternity test your kids, guys. You know, if you're going to have children and you've got even a minor amount of questioning, paternity test it, because otherwise you could put yourself in a position where you raise some other dude's kid. Just be careful is all I'm saying.
And you got to do it early, really quick. You got to do it early. Yeah. There's even in a place like Florida, even I think it's like once your name is on that birth certificate, you're screwed, dude. You can go and get a test, and you can get DNA proof. It's like, it does not matter. You're on the birth certificate. You have assumed responsibility for that child as its legal parent. You're on the hook, man. So, you know, like if you're going to do it, you got to do it right away.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about crime and laws in Canada, because stuff is just getting out of hand here. I shared that video a few months back, Moff, where my friend had his blue Ferrari stolen in broad daylight in front of a townhouse complex right in front of his fucking window. Car thefts, break-ins, the total lack of 911 response. Like here we have in Toronto, this isn't the full story here. I'm going to try to find the full story actually, you know, while I pull this back down. But the criminals had a gun pointed to this guy's daughter, and 911 put him on hold 3 fucking times. And you can't defend yourself in Canada. Like you can't, I mean, you can have firearms, but you can't use them for self-defense. And even a lot of the firearms that guys have today, Trudeau has banned them now. We'll deal with Trudeau in a minute, but he's banned them, and his plan is to send them to fucking Ukraine, which I'll get to in a minute. Actually, the article's too long to read, but you get the headline. 3 times armed men broke in his house. Sorry, he was put on hold 3 times as armed men held a gun to his daughter's head. Like this is where we're at in Canada. It's utterly absurd and insane, and yet we tolerate it because of.
How can you even do that? How can you put somebody on hold? Like I don't even understand. At least here in the
busy
US,
lines, they
try to keep you on the line as much as possible. You're not supposed to hang up until like a car has been dispatched. They want to keep you on the line. I'm not saying America's perfect, and I'm not saying our justice system works, because it doesn't. But I mean that's just so. It's so. I mean, so many things are wrong with it. Like the fact that you can't defend yourself in your own house. I mean, that's already dystopian levels of insanity.
Have you heard of the Berna?
No.
Check this out. So I'm in some chat groups here in Toronto, BYRNA, and here it is, Burn a Gun. And it's advertised as the best, less than lethal self-defense weapon in Canada. Let me share the screen on that one. You're going to laugh at this one.
Why not just get a BB gun? Why not just get a rubber band shooter?
Basically a BB gun. So I think it's a 63 caliber pellet. CO2 activated, and the argument that they have is you put in the CO2 into the chamber and it doesn't pierce it until you pull the trigger the first time, so it's always full pressure. but this is what they sell you in Canada as a self-defense weapon. The problem with it, and I've looked it up with what lawyers have had to say about it, the field test here in Canada is it's a fire, like it's only 266 foot per second. So it's not fast. It's a heavy projectile. It's a big projectile. But the test here in Canada for a firearm is it's got to be over 500 feet per second. Then it's a firearm. Then you have to be registered. You have to have a PAL. I don't have my wallet nearby, but I showed it in a video the day. You have to have a possession acquisition license to buy anything with over 500 feet per second. Fine. So they market this as under 500 feet per second. But in Canadian law, they have the pig eye test. And if the projectile can pierce a pig eye, then it's considered a firearm. So even though it's not sold as a firearm, even though you don't need a license to buy this CO2 pellet gun, it still has enough punch that it'll pierce a pig eye, like they've tested it. So you can't use this for self-defense, because if you do, the piece of shit that broke in your house, his lawyer is going to argue he used a firearm on my client, even though he broke in your fucking house and held a gun to your kid. And this thing over here is a firearm, so he needs to be charged too. And chances are you will probably go to jail for using a fucking BB gun in Canada.
How does this happen? Isn't the majority of Canada pretty right and conservative leaning, besides obvious places like Toronto and Ontario? I thought like Calgary and all these places are like,
yeah, the vast majority, like people in the suburbs and especially out in rural areas are definitely conservative. But everybody in the city, which counts for a good chunk of the votes, like a lot of the liberal votes come from Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, all the big cities, you know, London, Kitchener, Windsor, all that shit, Ottawa. So that's why we have Trudeau as a prime minister, which he probably won't be. I'm expecting a resignation tomorrow morning because his deputy prime minister just resigned. Wow. But you cannot defend yourself with a firearm in Canada. You're better off using coyote spray, like coyote repellent, like pepper spray, which you can buy from Bass Pro Shop. I mean, I have sharp objects around my house. My good friend Moff bought me a really nice Viking axe for my birthday a couple years ago, which is displayed nicely on my wall. It's, you know, it's a piece of art, you know, the way that I see it, but it's still an axe. So you have very minor alternatives, but even in situations like if a guy breaks into my house and I cut him up with an axe, I'm probably going to end up in jail, right? You know, for defending my own property, even though I had a piece of art on the wall that I just pulled off and use it as a tool, right? But that's how it works here, man. It's just ridiculous. And I got some other stuff here to show you as well. I'm going to skip over some of these and come back to them. I have a video clip here. Oh, okay. So here's the other thing that I wanted to show you guys. It's kind of related to the same topic. So this is a good post here. I don't know who this guy is, but it's perspective for people that don't understand. So out of the 300 odd guns that are on his list that they've recently banned, half of them are in my safe right now. I'm not allowed to use them. It's illegal for me to use them, to take them to my gun range, use them for sporting, anything. Some of the guns that are on the list include 22s. And if you guys don't know what a 22, so this is a 7.62 round over here. This is a quarter with a moose on it. And over here we got a 22. A 22 is basically for plinking. It's for shooting rabbits, grouse, gophers, like anything small. Like you can probably easily kill a rabbit with a 22. I've seen tests, like ballistic testing, where they fired a 22 into ballistic gel with like a skeleton in it and like a t-shirt and all that sort of stuff. And if you shoot a 22 from a bolt action rifle, it's lethal at 100 yards, no problem at all. But if you're wearing like armor, a jacket, a helmet, puffy jacket, even a winter jacket, chances are a 22, and by the way, most of the guns that he's seizing that are 22s are like semi-auto shit guns. Like, if you guys don't know this, 22s are not ideal for defense. Like, they're not ideal for anything that requires the gun to work. One of the reasons why most guys will get a 9mm instead of a 22, even though a 22 can be lethal, is a 22 is a rimfire. And because it's a rimfire type of projectile, not center fire, where the center of the casing is where the fucking primer is, it's on the rim and this thing sort of clamps down on it. They fail a lot. They jam a lot. They don't shoot properly a lot. They misfire more often than a center fire. But they have to be rimfire because it's such a small projectile. it's not ideal for waging war. And one of the arguments that Trudeau's cabinet made was, well, we're going to seize these guns and send them over to Ukraine so they can use them over there to defend themselves from Russia. What kind of fucking idiot is going to use a 22 caliber plinking round to try to kill a Russian soldier or armored vehicle? You're not going to get through it. But this is the insanity of the world that we live. Like, he's banning basically what farmers use to shoot coyotes and varmint off. Like, this is the insanity of Canada here. It's crazy.
Might as well ban like Nerf guns and super soakers next.
Yeah, like, this guy says, I'm not a military expert, but I suspect it's a bit suicidal to take a 22 caliber into a battlefield against Russians, and he's absolutely right.
Insane.
Now, I've got another bookmark over here just above it, which kind of ties into the crime that's going on in Canada right now. Now, the Liberal government is not popular at all. At all. Christina Freeland, who's the deputy prime minister, so basically the vice president, if you're an American, and the minister of finance, resigned today. She was basically fired, but she resigned. It was kind of a bit of a boss move for her to just, throw the resignation in and say, fuck you, Trudeau, even though you've seen them stand side by side for years, for the past 9 years. She resigned today. Another cabinet minister of housing resigned today. There's discourse within the Liberal Party. The recent gun ban, the strategy was, well, nobody likes us and we're having a hard time getting votes. So their strategy at that point is to say guns are bad and let's take more guns off the street to stop crime, because people are dealing with crime here in Canada. So here's a example of the sort of crimes that people are dealing with. This is obviously security camera footage. And these things over here at the bottom of the driveway, I don't know if you can see them. Let's go slightly larger screen. Can you see these poles over here?
Yeah, like stanchions.
Yeah, so these are called bollards here. They cost about $2,000 each to put in. This is at Avenue Road in Chaplin, which is a very nice area in Toronto. It's probably $6 million house, let's say. So most people in Canada, I don't know why they don't park their cars in the garage. Like, I always park my cars in the garage. A lot of people here, they just keep shit in their garage. Like, they just accumulate junk, so they have to leave their cars in the driveway. And a lot of cars have been stolen out of driveways here. A buddy of mine's got a Raptor. You probably know that pickup trucks are stolen more than regular cars just because of utility. They ship them over to Middle East or Africa or some shit, and they use them for utility reasons. Or I'll put a 50 cal on the back and use it for fucking mooring and stuff. But a buddy of mine's got a Raptor. He had it stolen twice out of his driveway. Not once, twice. They recovered it, and it was back in his driveway, and they stole it a second fucking time. He never got it the second time. I've had another friend that had them try to steal a Dodge Ram out of his driveway. He came out with a baseball bat and chased them away. So they ran off. So people start to install these bollard things here, which are $2,000 each. And by the way, before you leave your house, if you get the upgrade, you have like a Bluetooth one where you push a button and they go down on the ground. Those are probably like $5,000 each. Or you have to walk up to them, you put a key and you unlock them and you push them down and you lock them and you drive your car out. Then at night, before you go to bed, you have to pull up these 3 fucking things so degenerates don't steal your car out of your driveway. That's how bad it is here. Like, people are stealing vehicles and shooting people. Like, chaos is ensuing here, if I can be very, very clear. So this is footage of thugs just doing
This is
what
the
thugs
scene
do.
outside a home near Avenue and Chaplin around 10:30 last Tuesday night. 4 masked men walk by the home, which has bollards and 2 luxury SUVs in the driveway, and 30 seconds later return, crossing the grass and heading right for the front door. They first unsuccessfully attempt to break through a glass window on the main floor. Then one of the suspects, using what appears to be a hammer, smashes through glass in the front door before gaining entry, as the home alarm, which was activated, begins to go off.
I got up right away to go to the front door and start pushing back to try to tell them to get out of my house. And I thought I saw a gun. I don't know whether you never know whether they're real or not. I didn't care. I was just trying to defend myself, my home, and I knew my wife was upstairs.
The couple, both in their 60s, do not want to be identified because the suspects remain at large.
And they were beating me with something on the head pretty violently, but I didn't want to go down because I didn't want them to go upstairs. And they started slicing my arms. It might have been a knife or glass, but they cut my arms pretty badly.
One of the suspects managed to make his way up to the bedroom where his wife was sleeping. And
The first thing I saw was a guy all in black, a balaclava, in my bedroom, which was total black. The second he left the framework of my bedroom, I picked up my phone and I called 911.
2.5 minutes later, the perpetrators were gone, having stolen nothing.
I said, what do you want? And they never told me. So we know. One guy said something to the effect of, just be quiet.
The homeowners say at one point, one of the suspects grabbed the husband's cell phone, but in the commotion, the phone dropped.
What were they after? Key cars.
We think, because I don't think they ever
That's what
said
the police
that.
told us. But we have bollards, so they need those to go down.
So this is Toronto, Canada, one of the safest countries in the world, is it? Not anymore. And this is common, guys. This is not an uncommon thing. In fact, I got another clip over here that I shared to my feed, which is basically a splice between the difference in Florida and in Canada. So here in Canada, the police tell you this. So watch what the police in Canada say versus the ones in Florida.
Prevent the possibility of being attacked in your home. Leave your fobs at your front door.
So he's talking about your key fobs for your cars, right? Because here it's very easy to steal a car, take it down to the shipping docks, put it in a container, and it's on a boat within 12 hours to fucking Africa, Middle East, wherever, right? The car's gone. It's very easy to sell those and move them very, very quickly. So the police are telling you here, rather than dealing with being, getting your ass beat, keep your key fobs at the front door and give them to the criminals when they come banging on your door looking for the fucking fobs. This is what they say in Florida, though.
Your fobs at your front door.
Somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. We have a gun safety class we put on every other Saturday. And if you take that, you'll shoot a lot better, and hopefully you'll save the taxpayers money.
Florida's looking really appealing, Moff. Really appealing.
What can I say, man? I mean, I keep 45. I keep 17 plus 1, and I keep another 45. So, I mean, yeah, 4 guys want to come pounding on my door anytime in the middle of the night. They're more than welcome.
And
it's crazy.
And they're disarming responsible gun owners here. Here's the funny thing. So the Trudeau government's been doing this for years. I don't know if you know this, but they banned handguns. I don't know, it was a year or two ago, completely. You can't buy them, you can't transfer them, you really can't use them. So they had a buyback program, and they spent like tens of millions of dollars for this buyback program where people would surrender their guns and they would get money for them. You want to take a guess how many guns they've collected?
How many? Thousands?
0. Nobody has given up a single fucking gun. Not one. Not one. And you know what? I don't think this guy's going to either. They can come and take them. And they don't have the resources to go door to door to take them from us. They don't. Nobody's going to go around and do it. So all of these guys are just going to keep them in their safe, and they're going to sit on them, hoping that the next government that comes around, the conservative government, hopefully pulls back on that, on those bullshit changes, and we can now take them back to the range, right? Because all you can take to the range now is basically bolt action plinkers or shotguns to shoot clays.
I mean, what a complete waste of time and resources. I mean, cops are going to be going door to door to ask for people's guns back, or, I mean, was the plan say, okay, if you're registered, we're going to go knock on your door and say, hey, we need those back. It's just crazy.
No, it's a voluntary buyback program. So if your gun is on the list, and I got an email here. I mean, I can actually show you the email that I got from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police the other day. Check this out. I'll read it to you. Because I mean, this is how they're planning on taking firearms back from people. It's nuts. Where is it? Here it is. Canadian Firearms Program announcement. Let me just make sure this doesn't have any personal information here before I throw it up on the screen. Yeah, no, this is generic in French and English. Check this out. So this is how they're planning on solving this problem now. December 2024, firearms prohibition on December 5th, because I'm registered, right? So you go and buy the gun, you're registered, they have your address, they have your email, so they email you, they'll send you a piece of mail. On December 5th, 2024, the government of Canada amended the regulations prescribing certain firearms and other weapons, components, and parts of weapons, accessories, cartridge, magazines, ammunition, projectiles as prohibited or restricted. We have 3 categories. We have non-prohibited, we have restricted. We have non-restricted, restricted, and prohibited. Prohibited, you can't use. That's like military stuff. So they've basically regulated semi-automatic, bolt action, 22 9mm caliber long guns as prohibited now. So you can't use them. The amendments to the effect classify certain firearms, 324 unique makes and models, which you can find on this list over here. As of December 5th, these firearms are now classified as prohibited, so you're not allowed to use them. An amnesty order expiring in 2025 has been introduced, which protects the owners who are in legal possession of one or more of these newly prohibited firearms the day of an amendments, blah, blah, blah. Amnesty order allows individuals time to come to compliance with the law. Owners are to keep them securely stored in accordance with their previous classification, so in a gun safe or in a locked closet. They cannot be legally used, sold, or imported. They cannot be transported under, they may only be transported under limited circumstances as set out to the amnesty order, which will be basically taking them to your local police department, surrendering them, and then getting a check for $200 or something like that. They cannot legally be used for hunting unless allowed through the amnesty order, which they allow for natives. The funny thing is they didn't ban the SKS. I don't know if you know what the SKS is, but it's a variant of the AK-47, and it's a semi-automatic 5-round magazine. It's a pin 5-round magazine, but it's a 7.62, so it's a big round. Like, that's a warring round. They didn't ban that on the fucking list because all the natives up north use them to hunt polar bears and seals and stuff like that. So they didn't want to piss off the natives, but they pissed off the guys that go to the range to shoot targets and plink little metal targets. So they have an amnesty order for the natives to keep using them. They cannot be used for sport shooting either at a range or elsewhere. So that's what they've done. Not only are you not allowed to use a firearm if you own them for home defense, but now they've taken firearms away from lawfully abiding gun owners and they're sending them to Ukraine. The other interesting data point that I found as well too, Moff, is that 97% of gun crimes, so of guns recovered by the authorities in gun crimes, are black market. So they come from the States. They're mostly handguns, right? So handguns are generally more popular for crimes because they're small. You know, you can conceal them. You could put a handgun in somebody's face and it's scary looking, sort of thing. That's what they generally use in crimes 97% of the time. The 3% of the time where they're registered guns, they're stolen. So somebody broke into my house, got into the safe, and stole a registered firearm, and they use it to commit a crime. But they generally won't because it's long guns. Like, I don't have any handguns, right? So they're 18-inch barrels with a stock. Like, they're a good 3 feet long. You can't conceal those. They're very difficult to conceal because they're huge, but that's what they do. It's crazy. Now you know why I want to get the hell out of here.
Won't be long.
Won't be long. Oh, we got a Chad here. I gotta show you a Chad of the day. I don't know if you guys saw this guy, but Trudeau was out running. So I put a call out. If anybody knows this guy, find me this guy because I want to reward him for this. I have a prize for this guy. I want you to see this. I got to turn up the volume so you can hear it because this guy needs an award.
Justin. Look at this faggot. Justin. Look at this faggot.
That is awesome.
So good, dude. Oh man.
And
so good.
He gets that a lot. Like, that's happened to him.
Rightfully so.
He potentially goes, just about everybody will go up to him and chastise him. I mean, that's obviously, like right off the chart, but that's how it goes, man.
He deserves it. He's earned it. He's earned every letter of that word.
Well, here's one more of Christina Freeland, who just recently resigned today. She was recorded several years ago on November 14th, 2022. Bitcoin was at $21,000. So check this out. She urged Canadians not to buy Bitcoin 2 years ago at the literal bottom of 21,000. And she resigns today after a staggering 600% increase in Bitcoin. But this is the advice you get from the Canadian government.
Mr. Speaker, why don't we talk about some really terrible advice that was offered to Canadians in the spring by the Conservative leader? He urged Canadians to invest in crypto as a way to opt out of inflation. Now, Bitcoin has crashed by 21% over the past week and by more than 65% since the Conservative leader first gave Canadians that reckless advice. The Conservatives should apologize today for this reckless policy and admit that investing in crypto would have bankrupted Canadians.
Bitcoin's $150,000 Canadian. So that was $21,000 Canadian, Moff, not USD. And it's $150,000 Canadian today.
It's probably when it was close to like 16K or something like that, or when it was like 14, 15.
Yeah, that was like a literal bottom. Like that's when I bought some more too. But you know, I've said this many times, don't take advice from the government when it comes to finances and money, because they can barely even manage their own freaking problems themselves. That's all I got. We got the mass shootings. I don't want to put this one up. This is we've been tough on the gals tonight. I think they've heard enough.
Give it a little bit of a break.
Anything else here? Oh, hang on a sec. This is awesome here. I don't know if you know this, Moff, but back in the day, the American schools used to teach sharpshooting. Did they ever teach you sharpshooting in school when you were in school?
No, that was way before my time.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was the 40s or 50s, but they would teach all students how to use a bolt action plinker, like a 22, basically. So you just understood the basics of a firearm. Apparently, Poland now has become the first U.S. country to introduce compulsory gun and shooting classes in all of its elementary schools.
First maths, then history, and finally shooting. Weaponry class is now mandatory in Polish schools.
I love it. Like it's
Great.
Awesome that they're doing that. Like all countries should arm their citizens. You know that Switzerland is the most armed country on the planet?
Did not know that. That's surprising.
Just about.
I can't believe it's not a U.S. Not the US.
No, it's not. I think there's probably more guns in the U.S. in total.
That's
for sure.
probably what it is.
I mean, like,
well, because there's some places you
Americans
can't
that
even
like
have
guns have many guns, right? They don't just have like one or two. But in Switzerland, everybody's required to serve in the military, and they're told to keep their firearms. So every year they sort of go to a range and they qualify with them. Men and women to do it, but there's not many countries in Europe that are armed like this. So it's nice to see that Poland's doing something to protect themselves. It's great.
Agreed.
That's what I would be doing if I was prime minister here. But, I can't do politics, man. Not for me. Buttes. That's all I got, man. You got anything else?
No, it's a good thing to wrap on, I think.
Yeah. We're not going to be on next Monday. I'm actually traveling, and it's pretty close to Christmas, so we'll skip next week. We'll probably skip next week with Ladies' Night and Office Hours and my show as well.
Yeah, we definitely won't be doing Tuesday. I may do a Thursday episode. I'm not traveling. Actually, we'll see. Unlikely. No, because is Thursday Christmas? I don't know, man, or somewhere around there. We may just take the next 2 weeks off, and we're not going to do Ladies' Night the next 2 weeks because it's going to be Christmas Eve, and then it's day after Christmas is that Thursday, so it's Christmas Eve and then it's New Year's Eve. So Ladies' Night will be the last show of the year tomorrow. Got a really good one actually, and hopefully we've got a lot of folks. We got some returning guests from last week and another dating coach, another female dating coach. So
female dating coach.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that should be fun. So I'll be on tomorrow night. Wednesday, I'm going to skip the Unplugged Alpha because I am traveling. I'm doing a deer hunt in Wisconsin, so that should be interesting.
Awesome. And I'll be on Thursday at noon, same time.
But we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have an awesome one, and